evening and welcome to this edition of KTN Friday Briefing. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we wind up another crazy, busy week this week. Well, it has been quite a hectic day in terms of news, so we have all the latest news updates coming to you shortly. Also on our unrivaled segments, that's the guest anchor and of course Mind Your Language, we have great guests. Tonight my guest anchor is a talented young man, or maybe I should call him, let's hear from him. Kiben, welcome on the show. Great to have you.
Thank you.
So he has a very interesting instrument. It's called Wandindi Kibe. Karibu. Usinyogope. Welcome to the show. So I want you to introduce the show using your how you do it.
All right. Good evening. Wandindi, how are you? You're very fine. Tell the viewers to be welcome. Welcome to you viewers.
Thank you very much, Wandindi. Asante sana. So we'll be having a lot from Wandindi Kibe, and of course Willis the Word Master is also scheduled to be on the show tonight, and he will be telling us, do we say diabetes? You need to stay tuned for that. Welcome to the show. Our sign language interpreter is William Silla. Media houses got a reprieve after the Communications Authority today reinstated the suspended digital license it had issued to the Standard Media Group, Nation Media Group and Royal Media Services. The authority, however, set out 4 conditions that the 3 media outlets should meet.
We know that there are still a few violations, and this is because the 3 media houses have not switched off, have gotten protection from elsewhere, which has led these others also want to think that they are not being given a fair chance to be able to compete in this particular market. We, however, are not going to allow them to continue broadcasting on analog under the protection of the law that is governing the 3 media houses. We need them to switch off. We have done a survey and we have found that quite a number of them have not switched off in the region, and we are going to take full enforcement action.
Well, KTN's Abby Agena has been keeping an eye on the digital migration case and will shortly break down for us what this latest developments mean. Well, for the last 2 hours or so, there has been quite a debate in Homa Bay County where the senatorial aspirants have been answering questions on development in the region, among other issues. Let me now take you there to listen to that part of the conversation that is still ongoing.
Thank you, Betty. We are coming to you live from the Homa Bay High School. Remember, this is the Homa Bay senatorial debates. The conversation is still ongoing. The audience is behaving itself here, and the candidates are trying to sort out the issue and discuss what really the people of Homa Bay believe in. Remember, you can join this conversation on Twitter online. The hashtag is Homa Bay Debates. Let's now move on to another question. Now, there have been supremacy battles between the Senate and the National Assembly, and then the senators and the governors. Starting with you, Engineer Okundi, what would you do if elected senator to make sure you mend that, or you better that relations first with the governor and then with the members of parliament?
Well, as the new senator in Homa Bay, which will be so on the 13th of February, I think I will need to have a good discussion with the governor to see how he proposes to work with the senator and how to offer services which are good for the people of this place. Then I will also need to have constant checks and dialogues with the National Assembly members of Parliament who come from this county, so that all of us together can pull to address the agenda issue for development. Then, and also the women reps, and all the elective posts, the senator must try to be a rallying point for all of us to look at issues that we need to address. So I will try and ensure that the 2 main houses do not have conflicts which are unnecessary.
Very quickly, Engineer, somebody on Twitter has asked why you didn't run for senator position in 2013, and if you would promise the people of Homa Bay that you can work with the governor well.
Well, I wanted governor at the time, but this time round, it's actually the ODM party, where I was at that time, who actually asked me whether I would like to stand for senator. And I think that we need to set up structures that will govern this particular position for the benefit of our people.
Thank you.
And it's no use, I mean, you can't wait because you don't know what is there tomorrow. Maybe you're here today.
Homa Bay County, whereby senators, aspiring senators are having a debate, and of course the residents there are asking them questions in terms of development and any other issues that they have in the county. Well, moving on, traders at the City Park Market in Nairobi went on rampage today following a mysterious fire that consumed the fruit market's products. The angry traders lashed out at Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero, who arrived at the scene to calm them down. The traders are accusing the county government of Nairobi of sabotage.
10 p.m. Thursday night, a gruesome fire erupts at the City Park Market in Nairobi. The blaze guts down nearly 500 stalls. And Friday morning, traders begin counting losses. But even as the flames slowly died out, across the streets, temperatures were still sky high. About 200 traders engaged police in running battles over claims that the fire was intentionally started. Stones and tear gas canisters crisscrossed the air as traders blocked sections of Limuru Road, rendering motorists helpless.
Hakuna kitu ingine imefanyika, imechomwa na petroli. Usiku wamemwaga petroli wakachoma.
The riot, which lasted nearly 4 hours Friday morning, left in its wake destruction, with police calling for reinforcement to contain the agitated traders. The angry traders allege that the blaze was started intentionally to get them out of a parcel of land which they now claim has been grabbed. They accuse the county government of sabotage, relating the blaze to a directive issued to them by the county to vacate the area last year. The rioters spared no one, as they wanted to hear none of what the area leaders had to say. Even the Nairobi governor was not given any audience. Soil was thrown at him by the traders, forcing his bodyguards to shoot in the air.
Kwa nimechukua roni ya 10k niweke kibanda, saa mzigo yangu imechomeka, mimi mwenyewe sana nimebaki na daiwa, ezo kulikuwa na mzigo bado kwa kibanda.
They claimed that fire engines from the City County Fire Brigade arrived late and were not fully equipped to contain the fire.
Sisi maskini tutaenda wapi?
The traders demanded compensation from the county government. There were no recorded injuries during the riots. It's a standoff between police and traders of City Park Market that has left the normally busy Limuru Road unpassable, with the traders suspecting foul play in yesterday's fire that guzzled down most of their structures. Timothy Otieno, KTN.
Uncertainty reigns among teachers who have boycotted duty in the northeastern region as their employer, the Teachers Service Commission, advertised their positions. The TSC wants the 1,089 teachers replaced to stabilize learning in the northeastern frontier. As Samugina reports, leaders from the north have dared the teachers to resign and stop portraying the north as a no-go zone.
The Teacher Service Commission has moved its threat level to boycotting teachers a notch higher. TSC has advertised a recruitment drive for teachers for Northeastern region after over 1,000 teachers refused to return to the region, citing insecurity in the north. Despite threatening the picketing teachers with a sack, the advertisement is silent on whether the teachers have been sacked. The commission intends to recruit 1,089 teachers for positions in the north.
We have CDF, we have spent our money of CDF building schools. We have no teachers. They can go. Point of order, Chair.
Appearing before the Parliamentary Committee on Education, leaders from the region wanted the discontented teachers to resign and others recruited. Taking cognizance of insecurity in the region, the leaders said security is a countrywide nightmare, and singling out the northern frontier, portraying it as inhabitable, was unfair.
With all due respect, my own suggestion, those teachers cannot teach in Northeastern Province. They don't inspire us anymore. No one has confidence in them in the same way they have no confidence in us. Let them be sacked and let them go home, and we should be given opportunity to recruit.
Just because they want a transfer and therefore they lie about us. They tell us that we discriminate them on religious, we rape them, our children are indisciplined. So that one really hurts us. Those teachers in Mandera who have served their mandatory term of 5 years, the TSC can look into a way of giving them transfers. Those people who are still under 5 must continue serving there as the regulations require.
The Teacher Service Commission on its part says the mass transfer agitated for by the teachers cannot be granted as it is procedurally flawed. TSA claims granting transfers premised on insecurity will open floodgates, as insecurity is not exclusive to the northeastern Kenya.
We must have all communities of this country teaching in every county. And in fact, we have to change the recruitment policy. We may recruit from one county and transfer all of them out, especially primary school teachers.
The teachers' boycott has severely affected studies in Wajir. For example, in a national school that is supposed to have 27 teachers, only 6 are on duty, and among the 6 are volunteer students who completed their Form 4 exams last year.
The unions have really taken this out of context. I think they are not being truthful with us.
As the teachers and the employer lock horns, it is the quality of education that has been placed on the sacrificial altar. Samogina, KTN.
18 KDF soldiers who were slapped with life imprisonment last year for allegedly deserting duty moved to Mombasa law courts today to appeal against the sentence. The officers are, however, accusing top KDF officers of frustrating their quest to seek justice by withholding proceedings that would allow them lodge the appeal. KTN's Francis Ontomwa has the details.
It was an emotional comeback to the courts for the 18 ex-soldiers. Friends and family members thronged the court to listen to the first cause of pushing for an appeal against the judgment.
So that he can come and tell us why those proceedings that were being taped, as we are told and we know, on a day-to-day basis and are available, are being withheld.
Making their prayers before High Court Judge Martin Muya, lawyers representing the appellants accused the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions of delaying written proceedings to court to kickstart the appeal in earnest.
This is disobedience of a decision from court. And I'm saying as an office of the court that I have copies of those proceedings showing that they are complete. That is why, although I was reluctant to go into the arena where my learned friend has gone, Mr. Gikandi, it appears, my lord, that there may be a deliberate attempt from the Navy, probably, my lord, to withhold this information so that the accused persons or the appellants can continue suffering in custody.
The single largest staggered trial of soldiers since the abortive coup of 1982, so the former soldiers faced the slap for ignoring the law to seek greener pastures abroad.
Compelling the accused to work for KDF was against the Constitution, which of course safeguards every citizen against servitude and forced labor.
Having survived deadly battles in the war-torn countries such as Iraq and Afghanistan, and instead of enjoying the fruits of their risky undertakings back home, they were bundled up and charged. According to the KDF Act 2012, a person is deemed to have deserted the service when they leave the defense forces or fail to join back. Also, an officer is deemed to have abandoned duty on the moment one enlists in another force without having been discharged or having resigned, or when one is absent without leave for a continuous period of more than 90 days.
They may have fought their wars in the land and in the seas, but today the 18 army officers were here at the Mombasa locals trying to overturn a conviction that slapped them with life imprisonment. The case continues on the 13th of February. Francis Ontomwa, KTN, Mombasa.
The controversial devolution debate has reared its ugly head once again after governors boycotted a meeting with President Uhuru Kenyatta during the launch of new medical equipment. As KTN's Catherine Omontho reports, the snub did not prevent the president from flagging off a 38 billion shilling hospital equipment drive meant to change the face of public health care.
For decades, Kenyatta National Hospital and the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital have been the only ones of their kind in the country. Because these two institutions have not all, but most of the medical equipment needed, especially for terminal illnesses, overworked staff and overcrowded wards have become synonymous with these hospitals.
Currently, we have queues of about 6 to 12 months at Kenyatta National Hospital. And some of those people, Your Excellency, do not make it.
Other hospitals and health facilities around the country will now have an additional 94 hospitals around the country to which they can refer patients.
In front of us.
While experts will say this is a major boost for Kenya's ailing health sector, those who are now in charge of devolved health services in the counties, the governors, largely gave the function a miss.
This much needed equipment will be distributed to 2 hospitals in every county. That means 94 county hospitals. But the mere fact that governors did not attend this crucial launch means that the debate between who controls what between national government and county governments could be reignited.
We think the governors are fully on board. I think people are over-exaggerating the situation. We are all keen to deliver services to our people.
As a matter of fact, we invited only 3 because it was not a public meeting or public rally. It was in State House, a signing ceremony. So we invited the chair of Council of Governors, Honorable Isaac Ruto. We invited the chair of the Health Committee of the Council of Governors, Honorable Raguma, and we invited Honorable Ongwe, who is the chair of the Health Committee to do with Human Resources. Those 3.
KTN is told that the 3 representatives requested to have all governors invited to the launch. The request was, however, declined.
And so, because it's a very technical project, where you require somebody with expertise to know the kind of cancer equipment to be bought, you cannot really leave it to the county governments, which are still trying to develop, their capacity.
Because the boat will be transmitted digitally, a digital interface.
Even governors allied to the Jubilee Alliance party were not present, sending a bigger statement than the president and his cabinet would like to admit. Devolution has been a thorny subject since its implementation after the 2013 general election. In early 2014, doctors went on strike protesting devolution of the health sector. The president then responded by saying the devolution bus had already left the station. Some governors, in line with the president's statement, went ahead to try and replace striking doctors, since healthcare is essentially under the county government.
Wale wanataka kurudi Bomet wakuje wa apply kufanya kazi Bomet. Wale wanataka enda Nairobi ninawaandikia mabarua.
This time, however, the president and governors seem to be singing different tunes. The national government has invested 38 billion shillings in this program, even sourced equipment from the Chinese government. The program will see 245 dialysis machines, ICU equipment, MRI machines, and laboratory equipment distributed to every county. Catherine Omontho, KTN Friday Briefing.
To a sad story from Samburu. Well, the body of an infant was this morning discovered in a primary school in Maralal. The body, which was in pieces, had partly been eaten by a dog before a herder came across it while taking care of his cattle. Najma Ismail with the details.
Learning at Lol Kunono Primary School was this morning interrupted after a mutilated body of an infant wrapped inside a polythene bag was discovered in the compound. The students were in shock after a herder discovered the body as it was being devoured by a dog.
Umbo ilianza kukimbia. Ilienda 45 cm hivi nikaona umbo imelala kwa nyasi. Nilipoangalia hivi nikaona inalambalamba kitu. Nilikaribia hivi niliona mtoto.
The herder then sent some of the upper primary students to inform the teachers.
Sisi tukachukua hatua kuripoti kwa chief pamoja na polisi ndiposa waje wafanye uchunguzi wao.
Several hours later, the school's head teacher conducted a head count of the girls and also ordered the ones at home to report to school in order to see if they were responsible for the incident.
Tuliwaita wanafunzi wale ambao wako wameripoti shuleni wasichana na watu wamefika. Kwa hivyo kitendo hicho kimefanywa na mtu ambaye ni wa nje.
Ni mtoto kubwa, sio hata mtoto mdogo. Lakini tunaomba Mungu atusaidie tupate mwenye alikuja kuweka hiyo mtoto hapa kwa shule. Kwa sababu ni kuonesha ya kuwa anakuja kuharibu jina ya shule, anakuja kuharibu wasichana wetu.
Area Chief Jackson Leorono says investigations are underway.
Now, the rift between Narok leaders widened after Governor Samuel Tunai hosted leaders from the county who vowed to initiate a process to recall Senator Stephen Ole Ntutu. The leaders, who included members of the county assembly, elders, former members of parliament and opinion shapers, ruled out holding dialogue with a splinter group. Leader of majority in the county assembly, Stephen Kudate, claimed there was a plot to grab part of the Mara Triangle Conservancy by some leaders who are opposed to the leadership of Governor Tunai.
Hata hajawahi kutoa maiden speech in the Senate. Hajawahi ongea juu ya kaunti yetu hata siku moja. Na tunataka kutangaza hapa uvunjaji ya sheria Narok County ikome. Hii uvunjaji ya sheria kufunga mabarabara ya kuja kusumbua maofisi za serikali sikome. Watu ya Narok County ndio walichagua Senate, na hata kwa wale wabunge ambaye wamechoka kufanya kazi ya bunge, tumesikizana sisi wote kwamba tutaenda kurecall hawa, tupige kura Narok County. Tayari wametaka kwenda court, wajitayarishe vizuri, wasiweze kukanyaga miguu mbili sasa kwa sababu dalili ya mvua imeonekana.
Ukiangalia hiyo watu kila saa nasema corruption. Unauliza hii corruption aonyeshi, ana evidence. Ile mambo alikuwa nayo, ameenda kwa anti corruption, ameenda kwa POA, ameenda kwa control of budget, ameenda kotini wakashindwa. Wale wanasema pesa hao ndio wanataka kukula, na naambia hiyo muda imeisha kukula pesa, kwa sababu alisoea. So hata ndio wanasema governor anakula, walifikiria vile walikuwa anakula, anafikiria governor anakula.
Na mambo ya koti tuliona wale ambao walihusika kwa uchochezi walishikwa. Tunaambia serikali wasiregeze kamba. Hakuna mtu ako juu ya sheria nchi hii, na tunataka serikali ihakikishe ya kwamba reinforce mambo ya sheria.
Wandindi Kibe, as he's popularly known, you can tweet the hashtag, of course, is Friday Briefing. Tell us anything you think about his performance and any question you have. But for now, we want you to introduce a story for us, and we want to make it as sweet as possible, the way the music has been. So you have it. This is a backup here on the iPad, but there it is. You can say Kararia Village. All right. So you introduce yourself, introduce Wandindi, and then take it away and give it your best shot.
All right. Well, my name is Wandindi Kibe, and welcome to KTN. Kararia Village knows him. They talk about him. You know him. After the story run here today briefing, we followed up the talk of him and the mysterious performances. Here now is 9 years old, termed as Miracle Boy, who allegedly single-handedly lifted a dead tree from the ground and brought it to life.
The tree and the boy that have been the talk of Kararia Village, Marakwet area. What outsiders are finding hard to believe is what residents here see and believe. 9-year-old Alvin Kwambai is the boy behind it all. The class 4 boy that is said to have allegedly single-handedly lifted this tree from the ground, bringing it back to life after 3 years.
Nasema hiyo miti iendelee kukaa hivyo, kwa sababu inaweza kuwa kwa mwenyewe au inaweza kuwa labda imeambiwa kwamba miti iendelee kumea.
Residents show the depression on the ground on where the tree used to be before the said restoration, one that residents believe is a supernatural act that the boy is supposedly in communication with the ancestors.
Kaambia ni kitu gani? Kasema nilikuwa naota kama kuna kitu ilikuwa inaniambia uende uamshe hiyo miti ili ipate kuendelea kumea tena.
Alvin continues to play with his peers like any ordinary boy. His father says the so-called miraculous restoration makes him have trouble sleeping at night. He says he took him to school far away to avoid disturbances, villagers who want to meet him.
Toka siku hiyo vile aliamsha, hakuwa anakaa vizuri, hakuwa anajisikia vizuri, lakini naonekana kama nguvu iliisha kidogo.
Elders in the village say the boy is a reincarnation of his grandfather, who also in his lifetime did miraculous things.
Alikuwa amesumbuka sana, tukafalisha rosari. Sisi tukafalisha rosari, alafu tukasema ni spirit ambaye sio mzuri.
The dead tree now stands out in the forest with most of the top part chopped off, what women here say they use for firewood. The Class 4 boy has consequently warned the village against cutting the tree. Since the event, the residents want the area cordoned off as a tourist site. Masi Kandie for KTN.
Media houses got a reprieve after the Communications Authority today reinstated the suspended digital license it had issued to Standard Media Group, Nation Media Group and Royal Media Services. The authority, however, set out 4 conditions that the 3 media outlets should meet. In their attempt to react to the recent developments surrounding the digital migration exercise, the communications regulator, the Communications Authority of Kenya, sought to set the record straight regarding the suspension of the self-provisioning licenses.
Upon receipt of an appeal from Africa Digital Network to reinstate their self-provisioning license, the authority's board of directors has held deliberations today on the matter and have agreed that the authority shall lift the suspension and resume the processing of the self-provisioning license.
The development means that the 3 TV stations, KTN, Citizen and NTV, can carry on with procurement of equipment to aid digital broadcast before the global digital migration date of June 2015. Despite the authority taking a slightly softer stance on the media, the authority has gone ahead to issue a 7-day ultimatum for the media houses to comply, or else they stand to lose out on the interim licenses they had been issued with.
Conditions are that the authority penalizes the 3 media houses, that is the Nation Media Group, Royal Media Services and Standard Media Group, for the misleading advertisements. Considering that this is the first such breach, a penalty of Kenya shillings 500,000 be imposed upon each of the media houses. Number 2, that the 3 media houses commit not to use their media platforms for selective misleading advertisements, including refusal to carry advertisement on digital migration. Number 3, that the 3 media houses commit not to engage in anti-competitive behavior and respect the laws and regulations governing competition in the ICT sector. Finally, that the 3 media houses are required to note and comply with the requirement for type approval of all electronic equipment.
The migration exercise has been rocked with long-drawn court cases that has seen media owners seek justice over the allocation of frequencies and issuance of broadcast digital license, which the authority has been rather reluctant to address. The 3 media houses got a court order 2 weeks ago from the Supreme Court, allowing them to continue broadcasting on the analog signal up until the court makes a ruling on the matter.
Even with the around 3 million TVs, 2 signal distribution licenses are too much. They will not be able to sustain, the 3 million TVs will not be able to sustain the 2 BSDs.
The decision taken by the Communications Authority requiring the 3 media houses to comply to the set conditions comes at a time when the media houses have gone to court to seek justice over the digital migration exercise that continues to rage on.
A pay TV service provider cause a consumer not to get the free-to-air services freely, then we will take a regulatory action.
2 media houses, namely KBC and K24, had already switched off their analog signal and were being carried by the 2 BSD licensed carriers, which are Pang, associated to Star Times, and Signet, which is owned by KBC and GoTV. But recently, the two stations reversed and shifted back to analog, which the authority says was a major violation of its regulations. Digital migration continues to remain key for media owners who are keen on ensuring that TV viewers get the best out of the migration exercise, despite outright attempts to have the media remain content providers. Well, moving on, Tanzanian registered tour vehicles have been barred from accessing airports, airstrips, game reserves and parks in Kenya starting tomorrow. This comes as negotiations between Kenya and Tanzania to solve the impasse over how tour vans from both operate. The frosty relations that date back to the 80s now seem to have come to the fore, with neither country looking likely to back down. KTN's Charles Gitonga has the details.
In what could appear to be bad blood in the eyes of tour operators from Tanzania, Kenya is finally taking the step to implement the bilateral agreement after 30 years of being good neighbors. In her statement today, Cabinet Secretary for Tourism Phyllis Kandie put it in black and white that tour vans registered in Tanzania will be denied access to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and all other airports, airstrips and national parks. This, she says, is informed by the cross-border tourism bilateral agreement between Kenya and Tanzania, which dates back to 1985, and the 3 weeks negotiation window opened by the EAC to review the agreement was not utilized.
That meeting has not taken place, and so I'd like to announce that from tonight, midnight, we will commence again to implement the 1985 agreement to the full.
Since 1985, Tanzania has been enforcing this agreement, and as a result, Kenyan registered tour operators are not allowed to operate in game parks and airports within Tanzania. Kenya has been unwilling to enforce this agreement in the spirit of regional integration.
We needed to ensure that there was fair play between the two countries.
However, Tanzanian tour operators will be allowed entry into Kenya through Lunga Lunga, Taita Taveta, Namanga and Isebania to pick or drop tourists in all towns in Kenya. This move has received support from tour operators within the country. While speaking to KTN on phone, the chairman of Kenya Association of Tour Operators, Fred Kaigwa, noted that the Tanzanian operators should not complain about this move since Kenya is simply enforcing an agreement that has been in place and each country must now implement the law of the land. The Kenyan operators are now eyeing the opportunity for partnerships with their Tanzanian counterparts to enable movement of their tourists in Kenya. Kenya's aviation infrastructure supports about 50% of the Tanzanian tourism business.
It's all a question of sitting down with each other's operators, reaching an agreement on doing business together and joining hands and moving forward. Here, Tanzania is a very popular itinerary.
Kenya-Tanzania relations have over the years degenerated, with the latter largely seen as opposed to regional integration. But with the government taking the tough stance, it remains to be seen if the 30-year-old bilateral agreement will be reworked. Charles Gitonga, KTN.
Well, strong sentiments coming out there from one of Kenya's leading tour operators, Minaj Manzi. We'll be keeping an eye for you on how that story continues to develop. Well, moving on, hundreds of livestock farmers across the country are losing millions of shillings following increased cartels and cattle rustlers in the country. Even as the government and private sector players endeavor to offer assistance, middlemen and cattle thieves have continued to deprive the farmers their hard-earned sweat. The KCB Foundation is, however, looking to reverse this with a 1 billion shillings revolving fund to change the fortunes of pastoral communities. KTN's Philip Keitani was in Baringo County and now brings us the story of what could change for livestock keepers.
50 years after independence, more than 80% of the Kenyan population is still living under abject poverty. Statistics show that the livestock subsector account for 30% of the country's agricultural output and are major economic activities for communities living in rural households, with more than 60% of the livestock in Kenya found in arid and semi-arid lands. But middlemen and cattle rustlers have continued to deprive the farmers their hard-earned sweat, subjecting them to grinding poverty, insecurity, as well as frustrating development. Late last year, the KCB Foundation launched a 1 billion shillings interest-free revolutionary fund for livestock farmers in arid and semi-arid areas in the country, designed to commercialize the livestock industry. The project aims to give farmers an opportunity to boost their returns from their animals.
Our focus in livestock was mainly due to the fact that Kenyans depend on agriculture, majority of the Kenyans. And when we talk about agriculture, it's like everyone just focuses on highland farming. They always forget that 80% of our country is arid and semi-arid, and this is where you find a lot of livestock and wildlife.
The foundation will provide training and funding for the livestock farmers in a move aimed at eradicating poverty rampant among herders despite their large number of animals. The pilot phase of the program that is already underway was launched through a joint partnership with the Baringo County government. The partnership will see the dairy and meat farmers in the county benefit from value chain development in a program that will run for the next 5 years.
One of the areas within our program we are trying to do so much is to help the ASAL farmers, so that if you're a livestock keeper in an arid and semi-arid area, you're also organized into a cooperative that can do a lot of work for you, negotiate for you, get rid of these middlemen who are taking advantage of the system, and help you have a more viable enterprise as a farmer.
The county government on its part is expected to supervise the program, besides providing extension services, building technical capacity for the cooperatives and linking farmers with the markets.
So we are really working to ensure that the process and the systems are in place, and more so working with the county governments to ensure that the right leaders are in the cooperatives.
According to the Economic Survey 2014, the livestock industry every year returns about 10 billion shillings out of the 23.2 million animals, but if well managed, can generate huge earnings both to the farmers, the county and the national government. Philip Keitan, KTN Business.
Well, many thanks there, Philip Kitani. Let's now take a look at how your money performed in our financial report. To matters soccer now. Kenya Premier League champions Gor Mahia have confirmed that they will participate in the 2015 CAF Champions League. The club's assurance followed Football Kenya's federations concerned over the club's status in the competition that kicks off on February 14. Gor's Assistant Secretary General Ronald Ngala confirmed that, in fact, tickets for the visiting opponents from Madagascar are being processed. It will be a busy first quarter for Gor Mahia, who, according to the Kenya Premier League Limited, the reigning champions will open their season campaign against Mathare United on February 21st. After thrashing Catholic Monks 116-0 last week, Strathmore Leos face a big test as they take on leaders KCB. The Bunkers will be out to display their dominance as they seek to carry this year's title. Elsewhere in tennis, Kevin Cheriot and Innocent Tidimawe were knocked out of the Nairobi International Junior Tennis Championship semi-final stage. Have a look.
With the curtains almost closing on the Nairobi International Junior Tennis Championship, Kevin Cheriot and Innocent Tidimane took on Frederick Jacobs and Nicolas Ranibel from Belgium, with their eyes trained on the finals. The homeboys could not, however, match the Belgium-based pair as they lost the first set 6-2. Despite starting the second set well, they ended up losing the set 6-4. The youngsters are now looking to improve on their individual performances in future competitions, as they were both eliminated early in the singles category. The finals of the tournament will be held tomorrow at Nairobi Club. In rugby, the Kenya Cup hots up tomorrow. Leaders KCB host third-placed Pan-African Strathmore Leos in the match of the day at the Lions Den in Ruaraka. It will be an acid test for the Bunkers, who are yet to concede a match thus far. Defending champions Top Fry Nakuru will be home to Lunch Bar Queens at Nakuru Club, with the top 3 guaranteed a spot in the next round. 4th place contenders Cabra Sugar will be facing Homeboys in Kakamega, while Mwamba and Impala Saracens will be facing Mombasa Sports Club and Catholic Monks respectively. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
Thank you very much for all your responses, for watching KTN Friday Briefing. And I'll leave the floor here for my guest anchor, Wandindi Kibe, to give us a goodbye from Wandindi.
All right, Wandindi, uko salama. Sasa, what do you have to tell to the viewers? They have a good night. Just tell them to have a good night.
All right, thank you very much. Good night from Wandindi Kibe, Wandindi himself, and I, Betty Kialo. See you again next week, God willing. Have a nice weekend.